Okay, so for this small little series, I'm going to be talking about business analysis case studies. The intent or the goal here is really to help you think through what a business analyst does given different situations, different types of projects that they might come across. The goal here is not to actually point out every nitty gritty detail, but help you think about how to do your job as a business analyst. The intent here is really to help you get a feel for what a business analyst does and also potentially prepare you for business analysis interview questions. One scenario that was posed to me was how would you go about, as a business analyst, integrating two different companies? As a business analyst, as I've mentioned, your roles and responsibilities really focus around that business analysis core concept model, which is who are the stakeholders? What are the context? What is the context? What's the problem or need you're trying to solve? What's the value? What are you trying to gain from whatever it is that you're doing? And eventually, what's the solution? And what all needs to change? So when you're integrating two companies, that usually means either two companies decided to merge, as in they're both coming in strong, or one company bought another company. And if that's the case, there's a reason why that one company bought the other company. There's some value that that company that was being purchased was supposed to bring to the table. It could be a product, but it could be business processes. It could be certain data that they own. So understanding that, the context, is really important before you start anything, right? Because you can easily say, oh, well, we acquired that company, so they just need to integrate and do everything in our systems. But if the reason we acquired that company is because they do something in a certain way that provides value, or they have data in a certain way that provides value that we want, then maybe we don't want to get rid of that. So we need to start with the context, understand why we're doing what it is that we're doing, and also the value of what it is that we're doing. So that's another core concept, the value of what we're trying to do. And always keep that in mind as we go about trying to solve the problem. Next is really working with those key critical stakeholders of essentially both organizations or both companies to understand all of the different processes that they use to do business. Obviously, in this case, you should start at a high level, because if you're going through and documenting the processes of every single thing of each company, you're going to be documenting a ton of processes, especially if you consider the entire organization, from like HR processes, sales processes, marketing processes, etc. So first, you got to kind of drill down and get to that context of what do we want to keep and what are we going to get rid of at a high level, right? And then once you understand what you're going to be getting rid of, you have to start going through the process of bringing in the people who are losing their thing into the new thing. So it's then you understand what their processes are and potentially how they need to shift their processes to either make them work in the new space or understand the changes that are going to need to happen in the way they do their processes, or if they're going to be able to continue to do processes in the same way before, and if they're just going to integrate into the new company. And then, at the end of it, or not at the end of it, but at the end of the kind of the requirements gathering phase, or at least what you're trying to come up with, is essentially the solution. And the solution is going to be what the final process is going to look like, right? It's going to be whose processes stay, whose processes go, what things are going to need to change so they could go into that process, what data is going to be collected differently, where that data is going to go, how that data is going to be processed. Those are all the things that you essentially need to capture, and these are going to come from data models, process flows, sequence diagrams, requirements documents, use cases, if it's an agile shop, user stories, acceptance criteria, all of those things, with the intent of getting down to those core concepts, which is who are the stakeholders, what's the context, and what's the value you're trying to bring, what's the problem you're trying to solve, what's the change, and finally, what's the solution. I hope that was helpful. I didn't have a script this time, so I might have rambled on a little bit. Sorry about that. If you have any additional questions about this particular scenario, or you have scenario case studies you would like to learn more about, or business analysis in general, let me know in the comments, and I'll either answer you there or create a new video just like this one to answer you. So subscribe to see your questions get answered, and thanks for watching.